You clicked on this video because you're probably addicted to corn. And after watching this video and hearing my story, I hope that you will never want to watch this bullshit ever again, because it's not only rotting your mind, but it's also taking control of your life and slowly ruining it. And I know this because it damn near ruined my life, and it took me many years of being on self-improvement and nofap to completely overcome this horrible addiction. And now I'm here to share my story so I could further spread this message and to help inspire at least one person to overcome this. So this is my story, and this is where it all started. So it all started in 2013 when I was 11 years old. Now this time GTA 5 just came out, but my parents would not buy me any M-rated games, well, for obvious reasons. So if I want to play games like Call of Duty or GTA, my cousin's spot would be the place. And keep in mind, my cousin is 2 years younger than me. So it was just a regular weekend in the fall of 2013. Me and my family got invited to my cousin's house for dinner. And I can't lie, I was excited. So we hop in the car, we head over to my cousin's house, and when we arrive, it was the typical. We go to his house, we greet everybody, we have dinner, but after dinner is where the story actually takes place. So after dinner, me and my cousin go up to his room to play some video games, and I can't lie, I'm quite excited to play GTA and just to chill with my cousin. But when he turns on his PlayStation, I'm left with an image that I will never unsee. And that's because he had a very high definition and detailed picture of a completely naked girl as his wallpaper for his PS3. And that left me in complete shock and very confused because I was 11 years old and I've never seen anything like it before. But obviously I didn't say anything and I just brushed it off, and me and my cousin kept playing GTA, Call of Duty, and just enjoying the night, you know? So yeah, after that, nothing out of the ordinary happened the rest of the night, and I returned back home and literally forgot about what happened within a couple days. And I was back doing whatever I was doing at that age as an 11-year-old kid. Probably just going outside, playing with friends, playing sports, playing video games, watching YouTube, typical stuff. So after this day, for the next like 6 months or so, I wasn't exposed to any more corn or any more inappropriate pictures. And I've seen my cousin many times after this. And the next time I was at his house, he changed his wallpaper and it was never to be seen again. And that was probably because his parents probably walked into his room one day while he was on his PlayStation and probably seen his wallpaper and just beat his ass. Because keep in mind, he was only 9 years old at this time. So now it's 2014 and I am 12 years old. And if you thought what I've seen at my cousin's house last year was bad, it just gets much worse from here. So it's around springtime of 2014 and I get invited to my cousin's house again. And we go to his house, we greet everybody, and dinner actually isn't ready this time. So I go straight up to his room, and when I open his door, I see that he's playing a game on his computer. So I go and see what he's playing, and what I've seen next literally traumatized me. So when I look over to see what my cousin is playing on his computer, I'm literally confused because he's playing a My Little Pony game. And honestly, I find it kind of funny. But the longer I look, the quicker I realize that it's not a regular My Little Pony game, but a hentai game. So out of curiosity, I watched my cousin play this game for probably a few hours, and the longer he played this game, the more disturbing it got. Like literally, I'm not gonna describe everything that the game was about because I don't really quite remember, but what I do remember is that every time you died or lost a level, you literally got dicked down by a different My Little Pony character. And it was literally such a weird game. And at that time, I couldn't really comprehend what I was seeing because, keep in mind, I was 12 years old and my cousin was 10. But the story doesn't end here. As the night goes on, it just gets worse and worse from here. So after a while, I tell my cousin to turn this stupid game off, and he agrees. So what we do next is we play some video games and we go outside. But once we come back to his room later on, and once we're bored, this is where the story takes a dark turn. So now let's fast forward a couple hours later. We're back in my cousin's room. We're playing some video games. We're watching some YouTube. And once we become bored, my cousin turns to me and says, "Yo, I found this new website recently. Let's check it out." So I agree, and that's what we do. So my cousin tells me to close my eyes and that he has a surprise for me. So I wasn't thinking nothing about it because I thought he was just gonna show me a different game on his computer. But what happened next was completely unexpected. The website he pulls up and opens is literally the hub. And this literally leaves me in complete disgust and literally traumatized me. So at this point, I didn't even know what I was looking at because I'm 12 years old. I never seen any website like this before, and I thought it was a virus. And keep in mind, my cousin is 10 years old showing me this. So my cousin turns to me and says, yo, let's play a game. And I didn't want to disappoint him, so I'm like, okay, what game you want to play? And what he tells me and describes to me is literally a hub roulette. So pretty much, he told me that, yo, let's take turns typing in random phrases, random words, anything we want, and we have to watch the first video that pops up. And honestly, I didn't even want to do this, but my cousin convinced me, and that's what we ended up doing. So we did that for a couple hours, and the longer we did this, the more disturbing and the more fucked up videos that we were watching, and it literally left me disgusted. So after a couple hours of doing this, I had enough, and I told my cousin, bro, I don't want to do this shit no more. And he agreed. So we turned it off, and we turned on some YouTube instead, and that's what we did until it was time to go home. And after this day, I promised myself that I would never watch or visit any of those websites ever again because it literally left me traumatized. So after this day, life returned back to normal, and for the rest of that year, I didn't go on the hub or get exposed to any corn because I had no interest in it. And I seen my cousin many times after that, but none of us brought up what happened last time, and he never showed me any more explicit pictures, videos, websites, games ever again. And life started to feel like it was returning back to normal, and for a while it did. So now it's 2015, I'm 13 years old, and this is the year that my corn addiction starts. So let's fast forward to the end of 2015. Summer just ended, and we were going back to school. And when school started, all of my friends were talking about corn and fapping. I knew what corn was because my cousin showed me it a year prior, but I didn't know what fapping was. But obviously I didn't ask my friends. So one day I went home and I Googled it, but I wasn't interested until a certain day. And that day came on December 2015 during Christmas break. During Christmas break, I was just doing whatever a normal 13-year-old kid was doing. Was going outside with my friends to sled and then playing video games and watching YouTube. And when I was watching YouTube, it took a dark turn because a strange thumbnail appeared in my recommended. So what did I do as a curious 13-year-old kid? I clicked it, and what I see next was a very disgusting video, and I didn't know that it was corn at that time because it was completely different stuff than what my cousin showed me a year prior. And I thought YouTube was supposed to be a safe platform, and I thought corn wasn't allowed on it, so I didn't think much of it, and I kept watching because I had a huge dopamine rush and couldn't click off. And at this time, I didn't know what I was seeing was corn until a few years later when I started watching the hub. And then I quickly realized that what I've seen on YouTube when I was 13 years old was indeed corn, but it was a weird fetish type of corn. And when I was 13, I didn't even know that there were dozens and dozens of different categories of corn. So after I watched this corn video on YouTube, I was literally disgusted with myself, and I thought I was weird for watching it. So I turned my tablet off and moved on with my day. So the next day I'm bored, so I decided to go back to my tablet and watch some YouTube, but I realized that I didn't clear the history from the last time I used it. And of course, that corn video was still there. And because I was bored and had nothing better to do, I decided to watch it one more time before I clear my history. And that was the worst decision that I could have made at that time. And when I rewatched that video, I got hit with a bunch of video recommendations, and I started to go down a rabbit hole, and that's when I discovered the dark side of YouTube. And this is when my corn addiction started. And because I had such a big dopamine rush when I was watching this stuff, it turned into a habit. So whenever I was bored, I decided to explore the dark side of YouTube and watch those types of videos. And also, keep in mind, I was going through puberty at this time, and I didn't know how to control my hormones. So then I thought about the time my friends told me about fapping, and after a few days of watching all this shit, I decided to fap to it. And this very decision at 13 years old is what would cause me to go down a long path of corn addiction. So now let's fast forward to 2016. I'm now 14 years old, and after months of watching that corn on YouTube, I was a full-blown corn addict, and I was fapping 4 times a day. And because of that, I lost my confidence. I wasn't able to get a girlfriend because I was viewing girls as objects, and I absolutely hated my life because I didn't know how to stop. So now let's fast forward to 2017. I just started high school, and now I'm 15 years old. And this was the year that YouTube finally started to crack down and delete those corn videos that these sick and twisted people were posting on this platform for years for kids to see. So when YouTube started to delete those corn videos, I thought back to the time I went to my cousin's house a few years before. And that's when I started to watch The Hub, and that's when my addiction got so much worse. At 15, I was not only a corn addict, but I was also fapping 4 times a day, and because of that, I developed weird fetishes that I was ashamed of and disgusted by. And it took me many years to overcome them. And this was my life for many years, up until 2020, when I was 18 years old, and when I discovered nofap and the whole self-improvement space, and I decided to make a change. So from 13 years old to 17 years old, I was a full-blown corn addict, fapping 4 times a day and living a very miserable life. And keep in mind, during this time, I was also an athlete. I was a black belt in Taekwondo, a competitive swimmer, and a skier during winter. And this addiction not only affected me, but my performance as an athlete. And during this time, I was literally depressed, had no purpose in life, and couldn't look myself in the mirror. Corn almost destroyed my life until 2020, when I was 18 years old and the pandemic hit, because that's when I discovered nofap and self-improvement, and that's when I decided to change my life for the better. Right when the pandemic happened, that's when I discovered calisthenics, self-improvement, and nofap, and that's when I decided to commit my life to it. And because of this, I found myself, and my life started to have purpose. And this very decision that I've made in 2020 not only saved my life, but I also became successful with nofap, removed my corn addiction, and I also achieved my dream physique and changed my entire lifestyle. But my success with nofap and self-improvement isn't for this video. That's for a completely different video. This video is just to tell my story of how I got exposed to corn at a young age and how corn almost destroyed my life. And I hope I inspired at least one person to quit this horrible addiction.